Hey everybody, Jason Say here, and today I want to talk to you about a brand new product I'm using. And before I start this video, I just want to say I am no way endorsed or sponsored by these guys. This is just a piece of equipment that I found that I think is going to help a lot of guys out there in a similar situation as me, and it's the Koons Engineering Chisel Plow. So if you're like me, I plant about 30 food plots a year. I guess most guys don't plant 30 food plots a year, but where I do plant my food plots is very rural, tough to get to locations. Most of them are a quarter acre in size. So the one thing I've struggled with over the years, I've been able to find equipment for my quad, everything from sprayers to lime and fertilizer spreader, to drag harrows, to a Koons Engineering pull behind rough cut mower. So I literally have every piece of equipment that I need to plant a food plot other than something to break ground. And I've looked for years, I've tried different products, and I've really struggled. And I think what most guys go through when they look for these implements for their quads, there's two things that make it really difficult to find something to break ground with your quad. One is you can't find something that's heavy enough, that's actually gonna get down and break the ground that the quad can still pull. And number two, a lot of the equipment that's made out there really beats up your quad. So I've had my eyes on this chisel plow from Koons Engineering for years, but I always thought to myself, I looked at it, I looked at the design, I'm like, I don't know that it'll do what I need it to do. I don't know if those chisels will turn the ground over, if they're just gonna cut, you know, lines in the ground and not turn the dirt over like I need it to. But after a long conversation with the folks at Koons Engineering and Matt, he said, Jason, this thing is gonna do everything you need it to do and more. It's gonna be perfect for what you're doing. So I pulled the trigger, I got this thing, and we've already used it on about 8 different food plots. We planted about 4 different acres, and it worked flawlessly. We worked it on existing ground that we've planted for years. We worked it on a 1-year plot and a brand new plot. And we're gonna show you that after I go through. I wanna show you first some of the features of this thing and how it works. So we're gonna show you it actually in action, but we want to go through the features here first. So let's go through all the features of the Koons Engineering Chisel Plow. First I'm gonna talk about, it has a really nifty electronic raising and lowering of the tires, which makes it for transporting super easy to get where you're going. Also, if you're in one of those situations, you know, where you're maybe in really wet ground and the chisels just dig too deep and you need to lift it up a little bit to break the top surface and not sink it quite so deep, super easy to use. So the electronic lift makes this thing very maneuverable and easy to get where you're going. Next, let's talk about the coulters. These are not discs, and I think a lot of people get confused with those. And what coulters are, they're like this, but they're straight, and they're not meant for turning ground. All that they do is they are going to cut ground. They're gonna make it easier for those chisel plows to get through. So the coulters here, you'll see, they're very adjustable. You can raise and lower them. Everything on this is very adjustable. And I wanna tell guys too, when you first get this piece of equipment, it's very important to take it on a level surface, get everything leveled out so it works as effectively as possible. But the coulters on the front, what they're used for is cutting ground. That's what they're used for. And you'll see here, I'm gonna talk about this because they go hand in hand. These are the weight racks. You can put up to 300 pounds on these weight racks, and the weight racks are not for the chisel plows. The chisel plows, when you see some of the video we did after this actually using this piece of equipment, we actually use no weight at all. But what the weight is for is not the chisel plows, but for the coulters themselves. If you're needing to get those coulters a little bit deeper and digging, you can put up to 300 pounds on these weight racks. But we did many of the plots with no weight at all. So you'll just have to gauge that. But these weight racks are perfect for that, and they're used for the coulters, which cut the ground before the chisel plows come through. Next, we have the main cutting tool, and this is the chisel plows themselves. You have 5 of these on the back, and they are all super adjustable. You'll see pins here that you can easily take out, raise and lower these things, super easy to do. The one thing I want to tell guys too is they come with 2 different attachments. This is the narrow chisel, and I forget the exact name of the other chisel, but it's a wider chisel, and it's more for ground that you've planted for years. It's going to be super easy to turn. But for our purposes, this is all we used, and it did a great job. So the chisel plows, the one other aspect I want to talk about in these, we get into one food plot where we had a lot of thatch, and I started reading the instructions, and we kept getting grass, and anybody knows thatch, it doesn't matter if it's disc or a tiller, that can be a problem. And we started reading the instructions. All we did was we simply removed this middle chisel plow, and it went through it really easy. So if you run into thatch problems, just take out that middle chisel plow. But these chisels do an awesome job. And I want to tell guys, I know some of you are thinking, okay, that's not going to make a real smooth seed bed. For our purposes, when we use this on our plots, it did. We didn't have to do a harrow or anything, but what you can do, there's actually an implement for this device where you can drag a harrow behind as it's turning ground, or if you already have a harrow like we do for our quad, you could simply chisel plow it and drag the harrow, get a nice, even, level seed bed. But you'll see in our video a little bit later, we didn't have to do anything at all. It turned the dirt over perfect. So the chisel plows are really slick. They're gonna turn that ground over, whether it's new ground or existing ground. So you got 5 of them on the back. If you get thatch, take one out, but super adjustable and everything you're gonna need. So those are the main features with the chisel plow. There's lots of things to this. I encourage you, like I said before, this is the answer for me. I've been looking for a piece of equipment like this for a long, long time, and I'm not trying to steer anybody wrong, but if you find yourself in a similar situation like I do, where I'm doing food plots that are, whether they're in the woods, they're small 1/4 acre plots where it's very difficult to not only use big equipment, to get big equipment too, this is an awesome, awesome piece of equipment that's not gonna beat up your quad. I talked to Coons Engineering. They said as low as a 300 quad will pull this thing. We did it with a 500, super, super easy. So I wanna encourage everybody, if you're like me, check this product out. I'm gonna be putting it, we used it for some of our spring plots. I can't wait to use it this fall. And for more information, you can see the website below. Call Matt at Coons Engineering, you can ask him. But again, I highly, highly recommend this piece. Now let's get some of the action and see this product in use. I'm gonna show you this plot. This is an existing plot, and we've made a couple passes with it already, and you can see really doing a great job chewing up dirt, and you can see it's still digging up this ground really well. So again, this is an existing plot, so we're doing a few of these existing plots. We're gonna do some new, see how it does on the new ground, but really happy with how this is working. You know, my goal is to bring you guys equipment. I think a lot of guys, it's just not feasible for them to have a tractor and big equipment. So being able to do this stuff with your quad, this is not a cheap set of discs and chisel plows by any stretch of the imagination. But for a lot of guys, if you can get it with your quad and get these plots, this is about an acre plot that I'm doing right now, and it's zipping right through it. So a really good option for a lot of you guys doing stuff on your quad. Okay, let's take a look at the final product here. I did this is about an acre plot, and I was done with this in, I don't know, just about 20 minutes, less than a half hour. So really pleased. So yeah, man, I can't complain about that. It's just as good as my discs that I generally use with my tractor do, and I can do it all with the quad. Did it in, like I said, in less than half an hour. So anyway, really happy with this. It's I think gonna be the ticket from here on out. Okay, behind me, as you saw, we've been using this Coons Engineering chisel plow. It's been doing awesome. All the plots we've used it on so far are plots that have been worked for years. A couple plots we just did it on have only been worked up 1 year. This is a brand new plot. So we have some weight on the back of this, and we're gonna see how it does. I think it's gonna do really well, but this ground here has never been broken before. So we're gonna get through it and see how the chisel plow does here. But based on everything else, I think it's gonna do great. This is one of the worst soil conditions you had. You heard how rocky it was, never before broken ground. Well, we do that in about 10 minutes, Kyle?
If that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, awesome, and it looks great. You have some leaves and stuff in this upper end, and it's kind of hard to tell, but it dug down through it. There's good soil, and I don't know how this plot's gonna turn out. It's one of the worst soil samples I've ever had. We're planting a product in here to actually build the soil up, but really interesting. I'd say this passed the test. Like we said, we did plots that we plowed before. We did ones that, you know, maybe were only 1 year, and then this one had never been touched before, and man, zipped right through it. So Coons Engineering, chisel tips, man. Chisel plow.